Listen, anytime, any place, anywhere, I'll fight you in your back garden. Like a dumb Klitschko, I'll beat you, you bum. You're a bum.
I want to unify. Is he up for the challenge? Like I said, I think that, you know, this is not a battle, this is war, because I was born to this.
Why am I sitting there like a spare dick in a way? While you are sitting in your mum's spare rooms, just tickling your bollocks.
Come and see me, baby. No more hiding, no more ducking, no more dodging, no more excuses. Let's make the fight happen. Let's see who's the best. I know I'm the best. Are you up for the test?
I'm through. They put somebody else up and give me an interview. What are you talking about? You never give me a fair shake. HBO needs to fire you. You don't know shit about boxing. You ain't shit. You're not shit. I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass.
Negative. I'm good. I beat Polly. I left with his belt and his girl.
Fucking was too fast. But it wasn't so much about, it was just that he was so fucking fast. Fast.
Amazingly fast.
Fucking amazingly fast. I was like, I thought Freddie was in there fucking hitting me too. So.
Any of you radio personalities think you want smoke? Call me Mr. Chimney. I want smoke.
Yes. What's up, MCR family? Another daily edition of the show live on YouTube, obviously podcast from iTunes, Spotify, radio, etc. I'm Matt, the Hipster Hunter. Going to be talking all things boxing today, as we have some really depressing topics to talk about. Not really depressing, just frustrating, as boxing is going to continue to do things that are very much on brand for this sport. Canelo-WBC-Jermall Charlo scandal. Gonna dive well into that one. Maybe even Rob might have some rants today. That'd be nice. A nice change of pace, not just me ranting. Fury versus Miller seems more and more likely as parties involved seem to be talking about it. And plus, obviously, previewing the weekend's action and also a lot of news topics to get to. I mean, we have a full slate of news and stories and fights to get to. So without wasting any more time, like I said, I'm joined as usual, except for seems as usual lately is just me, not him. He's been having cars break down, allegedly, things like that, some bullshit. It doesn't matter. But Rob's here, a.k.a. second cousin, twice removed of Sir Eddie. Rob, how you doing, man?
Take that back. As if I wish I didn't have car troubles. I fucking hate cars. Facts. Oh, Facts. My God. Anyway. Yeah. Do I hate cars more than the WBC's latest antics? Nope. I'll tell you, it's borderline. You kind of get used to this boxing politics shit, but although this has raised the bar somewhat. But yeah, I'm good. Ready to get going. First off, thank you to Gary with the super chat. $5 contribution to MCR. Thank you very much, Gary.
And for those who don't know, he had to do that because he lost a trivia question to Santiago. Haha.
But very quickly, I have done the UK conversion, and it does seem that Gary is quite frugal. Okay, I'm sure Ebenezer will be calling in later. But yeah, let's get going.
Yes, call in 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. We do have a lot of topics to get to, so I'll sort of give an announcement of when it's about to be time to take callers, so you guys can call in, not maybe be on the line for too long. And Santiago, I see you already in the line. Let me know if Blog Talk is working just fine. I know we've been having some issues with it lately, so let me know in the chat how it's working. But let's get to, Rob, the marquee topic of the day, right? Like it is, or the last 24 hours, it seems like. And the funny part is...
Amir Khan versus Billy Dib.
I hate you. The funny part about this whole Canelo news is that it's 24 hours later, right? It happened yesterday.
Last night, really.
Yeah, last night-ish, right? But not too late. It was enough, right? It's like, say it's 24 hours, just for argument's sake, right? We still, as a complete industry and community, have not zero understanding. We really don't know what's going on here. And when we start looking into it, if what it is turns out to be true, man, WBC are taking a page from the WBA's book in the worst ways possible. But obviously they've come out and said Saul Canelo Alvarez is now the WBC franchise champion, and Jermall Charlo will be elevated up to full champion. We still don't know. We still
WBC regular,
whatever this means. But some points in this sort of post from the WBC. The franchise champion designation is awarded exclusively by the World Boxing Council and considers the following mutual agreements between the WBC, the champion, and its promoter. Franchise champion designation is exclusively by appointment of the WBC Board of Governors by majority vote of the board. This designation is not transferable. It's just a bunch of bullshit. And it sounds like the franchise champion is, in effect, an emeritus champion. Like, it's just another name for that. Or another name for super champion for the WBA. Whatever this is, it's bullshit. And it's just like it's just different terminology they're using. And it's just... And now the fact that Charlo is now elevated to a full champion status in a way, and Canelo is outside of the mandatory process. Like, it's very confusing, Rob. And I will add, it's so on brand for boxing that it just makes my stomach churn. Rob, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, the post, I can't remember who I saw it first that kind of shared it. It was like, it was from the WBC tweet or whatever, and it just instantly got shared. And I was like, wait, what? The franchise champion? What is? Oh, this is some kind of like, it's a nothing kind of thing. Then I read it, and I'm like, wait, this is from Rule 3.26 of the WBC fucking rules and regulations, which contains a rule of we can make up a rule whenever we want, kind of deal. Probably worded a little
better. Yeah, a little better. A little more legal.
Yeah, a little bit of legalese, as you like to say.
Legalese,
but then I just start reading it. I'm like, wait. So Charlo's now the full WBC champ.
Exact wording: with Canelo's appointment as franchise champion, WBC interim champion Jermall Charlo is now confirmed as WBC middleweight champion of the world, whatever that means.
Yeah, so it's like you said, this is like the WBA. Canelo's now the super champ, and Charlo's like the WBC regular. And as a community, we don't look at the regular bout as a legit world champion.
No.
So,
or to clarify, most there are some that do. There are some that do, and obviously promoters do, and that is reprehensible, and we should always criticize them for that. For example, Triple G, the zone promoting Triple G as the longest reigning unified champion in boxing history is just ahistorical. Like, it's just not true.
Yeah, I mean, look, as a community, we don't tolerate like murder, but some people in the community commit murder. So, it's not. I didn't mean 100% everyone accepts.
No, I understand that. But I'm just saying.
So then I'll read more, and he's like, no mandatories. If someone beats him, they don't become the franchise champion. He's like the franchise champion forever.
Yeah, they get a diamond championship, by the way.
Yeah, if you beat the franchise champion, you get a diamond bout. And you become, I think, mandatory to the now what was the full champion bout. So what we're now calling it the WBC regular. So if someone, say Demetrius Andre beats Canelo, he wins the diamond bout, and I guess Canelo's other middleweight titles, and he earns a spot at fighting Jermall Charlo as mandatory to Charlo. It's just, doesn't it say something about a percentage of all? Don't they get 3% of basically every single fight? Or I can't remember, but this is just a way of collecting sanctioning fees off Canelo for the rest of his life. And can we get an undisputed champion? Can Canelo become the middleweight undisputed champion of the world if he beats Andre? Or
no, because Charlo's the champion now. Come on, bro, and Canelo's the franchise.
I mean,
oh my God, I hate this sport. Rob, play the soundbite. Play the soundbite. You know what I'm talking about.
I'm getting it. What do you think about it, Charles?
Fuck that shit. Fuck boxing. Fuck boxing.
Why?
Exactly.
Why? Oh, God damn it. Look.
It's just so many. Like I said, like I've read it I think someone tweeted it again, and I was like, quote tweeted it, and I'm like, look, I've read it. Like, what the hell is this? I have read it, and I still don't know what it is. My head hurts. And it's been, obviously for me, I've been awake since 6 a.m. this morning. It's now 10:15 p.m. And I don't think I'm any further forward as to what, there's no, like Mauricio needs to come out and do a video and say, right, look, it's written down. I know it's maybe complicated, but this is the deal. This is what it's about. And then maybe people can obviously still rip it to shreds because it's bullshit, but go, but
now I understand it at least. Yes.
I get what you're saying, but
it's still fucking bullshit.
I don't get what you're saying. Why have you done this? This is ridiculous. I know they're going to be other franchise champions. Is Deontay Wilder now the WBC regular champion?
Or any of them? Like any
of the WBC world champions now not legit because they're not franchise champions. It's fucking bullshit. And I know Eddie Hearn's kind of semi-concerned that Wilder's going to be elevated to franchise champion of everything he's done.
Rob, I think we need to address a bigger point here, okay? The fact that Canelo is now the first lineal franchise champion in boxing history.
Oh, yeah, shit. Add lineal to it.
Right? I mean, fuck Fury. He's just a lineal regular champion. He wasn't the franchise lineal champion. Let's be honest about it.
Well, today I've done a little research and I looked up the 2018 franchise of the year, and it turns out that Canelo could be facing McDonald's September.
I'll be down for that. I'll pay $75 to watch that.
And I forget the name
of
the.
You get Ronald McDonald in the ring. Fuck, let's go.
And I mean, at the moment the only clown is Mauricio Suleiman, but I also looked at who came second in it, and they got a silver award. So does he mean he's got the silver WBC silver franchise, and then he's been 600 days, and he should have got a title shot by now? It's mental.
Some 2 points I want to get to in the chat. One from Santiago saying, seriously, and what happened to him protesting and boycotting the WBC? I remember the Tecate commercial where he wore the WBO belt instead. Rob, what do you think of Canelo's sort of 180 on the WBC? Because obviously he had a huge public falling out with them right before the second Triple G fight. Now they've made him franchise champion. I wonder how much, this might sound weird, and maybe it's not, but it's because it's boxing, but
does he want to be the fucking franchise champion?
How much involved was he in this discussion? Like, that might be, I'm very curious to hear somebody interview Canelo and ask him about this topic, because this could just be the WBC going off script. It could be, but again, maybe it's not. Maybe it is Canelo just having a 180 about the WBC for some reason. I don't know, but that is a good point, Santiago. I'm curious about that angle to it, because there was a emotional dispute between Suleiman and Canelo, and now it seems like Suleiman is doing everything in his power to mend that relationship in some way while collecting money from him. Gary is trying to summarize this, saying it's a special title they give to Canelo so he can duck Charlo, but they can still collect sanctioning fees from him. We're probably going to get to the whole ducking Charlo aspect when you call in, Gary. I don't think that's really an aspect here when you might get Canelo versus Sergey Kovalev, which I think is a good point to start talking about that now, because obviously I made a video about it yesterday, but it's a short video. I didn't really discuss my opinions on it that much, and I want to hear Rob's opinions about this. Was it Mike? Yeah, Mike Coppinger came out yesterday, right? It was yesterday? And said sources tell The Athletic that Golden Boy Promotions and Canelo Alvarez are rebuffing attempts to make a trilogy fight with Triple G in September. Instead, they want Canelo to fight Callum Smith or Sergey Kovalev. And then Chris Mannix came out today and said Kovalev has a mandatory title defense against Anthony Yarde, but don't expect main events, Kovalev's promoter, to make any moves on a Kovalev fight until there is clarity on Canelo. So, again, I don't think it's ducking Charlo, the whole WBC thing. I think this is just sanctioning bodies being sanctioning bodies, because Canelo is trying to fight Sergey Kovalev, who's a more dangerous and higher level fighter. Rob, your thoughts on Canelo either fighting Callum Smith or Sergey Kovalev, the likelihood of those two fights happening first off, and whether you would prefer those fights or him staying at 160 and fighting Triple G, Andrade, or somebody of that nature.
I mean,
Charlo included.
I mean, this is at the point where, like, we're discussing like franchise champion and things like that, but kind of bouts don't necessarily matter. This is like legacy stuff. This is, you know, I'm not worried. Take the belts, whatever, because I'm pursuing greatness. You know, if he goes up and beats Callum Smith at 168, who is an absolute monster for the division, if he goes up to fucking 175 and takes out Kovalev, who, you know, on the subject of rematches, coming back off a loss, you know, he got sparked out by Alvarez, come back and kind of boxed his head off, really.
And honestly, to add to it, probably had his career best performance in that rematch against Alvarez.
He came back and he looked like it was like, Kovalev's washed. He just got turned over big time, and he's come back and he's like, he might be the guy of the division again.
Yeah.
It's
like I think we have him ranked number 1 in our rankings for that reason alone.
Oh, do you? Okay, let's just check it.
But anyways, digressing.
If Canelo does that, I mean, I'm all for it. I mean, I'm super intrigued to think about 175, 168. We've seen him do it. Yes, Rocky Fielding wasn't,
no, of course,
elite 168 pounder, but the size advantage was insane, you know. But obviously didn't matter, you know. The body shots really sunk into Fielding, and really Canelo showed how, you know, elite he is and just what a special talent he really is. But 175, whew, that,
and it's Kovalev. Like, I wanted to make this comparison on the show. Like, this is a bigger sort of jump up in weight, and if you win this, it means more than, let's say, like Roy Jones, John Ruiz back in the day, right? Like, when Roy Jones moved up to heavyweight, he fought a WBA regular champion, I want to say, in John Ruiz. Like, somebody that wasn't a legit champion. Still maybe a top 10 guy, obviously, at the time, but wasn't a legit top 3, top 2 guy in the division. Kovalev is a legit champion and arguably the best guy in the division at 175. This amount of weight jump for Canelo, the size discrepancy, it is all-time great stuff. I mean, we saw, what's his name? Why am I forgetting his name? Julian Williams' trainer. Stephen Edwards, Breadman Boxing, right? Isn't that?
I don't know.
He came out on Twitter and was like, look, this is, if Canelo does this and beats Kovalev, we're talking about him with the pantheon of greats. And that discussion probably should be had. However, I am not 100% sold on Canelo doing this, not because I don't think he doesn't want to do it. He's been talking about Kovalev for some time. Like, this name has been mentioned for a while now, guys. This is not new information that he wants a Kovalev fight. I just think it is a bridge too far. I think
he can mix it at 168, but 175 is the, like, whoa.
Yeah, 175 especially. 168, we can have maybe an argument about that, but 175, let's talk about that. Let's isolate that discussion with Kovalev. I think that is a Spence Mikey Garcia. Like, I think that is, we're getting closer to a Loma Rigondeaux situation. We're like, yeah, obviously these two fighters are great, but the size discrepancy is a bridge too far. That's an X factor that skill and talent will not be able to get over. Because the skill and talent discrepancy really isn't that much. Not enough for the size issue to not be an issue. I've yet to really hear an argument against that point that, hey, no, this fight's different. This is why Canelo Kovalev is different than Spence, Mikey, Loma, Rigo, Triple G, Brook, whatever fight you want to add in there. I want to hear that argument from somebody. Hopefully somebody can call us in, 323-870-4051, and give that argument. Because until I hear that, I'm not fully on board with it yet. I would rather him fight Triple G or Andrade and clean out 160, then move up to 168 before I see him jump up to 175 and fight Kovalev. Kovalev, go fight Vajdic. Like, go fight. Like, I would rather that happen. I think it's better for the respective divisions if that were to happen. Now, of course, Kovalev Canelo is a bigger fight than all those I mentioned, but I don't really, that doesn't matter to me. I find some purpose in cleaning out a division. And Canelo hasn't done that exactly yet. Neither has Kovalev.
Well, you say cleaning out a division, he's got to go and get his belt back. They just gave to Charlo. But yeah, and interestingly, Fistianado's podcast that Evan forgets Rutowski or something. Yeah. Is it? Said Canelo fighting Callum Smith is one of those that DAZN executives should fret about, not a sub driver and definitely a potential upset. Rematch would not have nearly the upside that AJ Ruiz has. They have also stacked the middleweight division for Canelo, and he moves up? ? I mean, I'm still thinking we get Triple G. I know, I don't know if there's some of this is just kind of posturing, but Eddie Hearn said today, I mean, if they're talking September, we're like July, almost July. Something's going to have to get decided fairly quickly, to get a good run at promotion at this, and whoever the opponent is for September. But man, it's, if he goes on and does it and performs well, at 168 or 175, I mean, look at his resume already, and he's not even 30. It's crazy, and people have their thoughts, about the whole clenbuterol thing, this, that, and the other. But we're witnessing at the moment, there's a 100% boxing Hall of Fame guy at the moment, trying to do even greater things, and good on him, I think. But on the business side of things, I think,
to add to that point really quickly about DAZN and what they would want, Mike Coppinger came out the article today with Athletic, 1,500 words. Mike, shorten that up a bit. Come on, Mike. That's too long of an article.
You're paying for it. You get what you pay for, Matt.
Oh my God. But all the information I'm paying for, he posts on Twitter. So, Mike, stop doing that. But digress, he goes in about how like Joe Markovsky and like John Skipper, they are adamant that there is some type of language in the contracts for both Triple G and Canelo to push towards a trilogy fight. However, they did not go as far to say that there is exact wording to make the fight, and that's there's enough wiggle room from a legal perspective for Canelo to push for other fights.
Does it say they should make the fight?
Yeah.
You shouldn't take
PEDs. Yep.
Fucking steroids.
Yeah, good times, right? Something along those lines. So DAZN is adamant that they want this fight, and I wouldn't be surprised if they start getting upset with Canelo in some fashion. Maybe not enough to like do anything about it, but from the subtext of the article, and this is my interpretation of it, from the subtext of the article, and just from the quotes from Joe Markovsky and John Skipper, they are kind of getting frustrated with Canelo at this point. Like, hey, look, we have contracts in place. Like, we have wording in the contract. This fight should be happening. So I'm curious to see who wins out in this battle. Is it Canelo? Is it, sort of the athlete, the talent, so to speak, or is it the company in DAZN? Very curious to see who wins out this battle.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we should find out fairly soon. Like I say, they've got to start promoting the fight and getting everyone sort of hopefully excited about it or whatever. But it's going to be interesting. But what a crazy few hours it's been, really. Like the whole WBC thing, and also him kind of rebuffing the idea of a trilogy. It's all kind of up in the air at the moment, but yeah, it's going to be interesting. But if he does, 175, that just seems crazy. But
and Kovalev, man, God, like the Kovalev that came off the first Alvarez fight, maybe. The Kovalev that came off this fight, no. No, sir, do not do that.
Is Canelo really a big middleweight?
No.
Not really.
guys, I'm a small guy. Like, I'm like 5'9", 135, 140 pounds. I am taller than Canelo. I've interviewed him. I am taller than that guy. Okay, like he might be brolic in a way, but he is a short-statured fellow. Okay, and Kovalev is 6 feet, 6'1" almost. Like, he's a tall, big light heavyweight. No. And that has a good jab, great 1-2, great fundamentals. No, Canelo, bridge too far, bro.
Does it change things regarding wanting a Kovalev fight if it's looking like Kovalev's leaning towards the Canelo fight and doesn't take his mandatory? Does he get stripped? And then is the Canelo fight not that? I know as fans we'd be like, whatever, he beat Kovalev, that means something. But it's just want that belt along. You know, I became the 175.
Yeah, I think if Kovalev doesn't have a belt, Canelo doesn't fight him. However, I don't think that happens. I don't think we ever get to that situation.
Yeah, okay.
Because it's the WBO, right? Is it the WBO?
Yeah.
With Kovalev? Yeah, no, they're not. They're not gonna stop a Canelo paycheck with Kovalev. Not at all, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I think the money apparently for Yard is in escrow that for some reason this fight doesn't happen. He's got it anyway, so you know.
Allegedly.
Speaking
of allegedly, Tyson Fury, Jarrell Miller. Everyone seems to be wanting this fight in terms of, when I say everybody, I mean Team Fury. Frank Warren is open to making it. And Tyson Fury was interviewed by IFL, was it today or yesterday, Rob?
Today.
And we're going to play a quick little clip from Senor Fury.
Are you open to a Jarrell Miller fight? Frank Warren said that...
I'm open, yeah.
Yeah. What did you talk about when you saw him in Vegas? He was there, obviously, around the fight. And
I just said to do your own thing and forget about what other promoters are saying. And whatever, mistakes are made, regroup and continue. And that's it. I'm open to fight Jarrell Miller, no problem. I've not got no problems with him doing whatever he wants to do in his life. If he feels the need that he's got to do what he's got to do, that's none of my concern.
Quickly, not to interrupt the clip here, but I wonder why Fury, you know, a guy that had a PD suspension for a year and a half, is completely fine with Jarrell Miller doing whatever he's doing in the meantime. Just wonder why, guys.
No comment.
Well, I have the crazy Fury fanboys in the comment section telling me how Jarrell Miller should be banned for life and that us even talking about him is giving him money somehow, and we should be ashamed. Yeah, okay.
My concern is boxing and winning, not what the other man's going to do to himself. So, Jarrell Miller is an option. He's a big old fella. He's highly rated. He's 23 stone and 6'4". He's unbeaten in how many fights? 23 fights?
Yeah, roughly.
21 or 2 knockouts.
Yeah.
So, he's the highest available opponent rated. He's number 3 in America, behind Ruiz Wilder. And I think he's rated highly by some organisations too. And he's popular because of all the scandal. So you could get somebody who nobody knows, but people don't want that.
So there is serious legs in that, possibly, as your
listen,
fight for October.
I'd be open to negotiating with Big Baby, for sure. If you can think of a different opponent.
Who else has been mentioned to you then?
I haven't spoke to anyone. Like I said, I've been busy at work, doing bits and bobs, but I've not spoke to anyone about boxing. But Jarrell Miller is somebody I would consider.
Rob, there's another minute of this clip. I don't think we need to play all of it, right?
No, it's just I think Coogan kind of suggests or they go through Brian Jennings, fighting Joyce, and he's like Kaunaki. He's like, well, he's got Areola, and then it's just he kind of says he says they want an American, so that suggests Bob Arum and Top Rank want him to fight an American, and you go through the list of available Americans, and it comes sort of full circle to Big Baby Miller. So.
Rob, your thoughts on this? I refrain from giving my opinion until after I hear yours.
Part of me thinks that this could come off and they could do this, and I think he's absolutely perfectly made for Tyson Fury to box his head off. And then there's another part of me that thinks we're going to get a Schwartz style, quite low ranked, although was number 2 in the WBO or whatever he was, although new rankings suggest he's now still a top 15 heavyweight. He's hanging on in there at number 15, Schwartz. But so yeah, I'm torn.
Quickly, when the WBO president goes out on Twitter and say, "Hey, we don't do pearl diamond belts, blah blah blah," motherfucker, sit down, shut up and sit down. This is not your time to talk.
Yeah, just IBO in the background doing their thing, great rankings. No,
stop.
All right. But yeah, Big Baby Miller, Tyson Fury. I mean, I know we're apparently not supposed to talk about Big Baby because he's been a naughty boy. I know he shouldn't fight again for another 4 years. I know whatever, but this is boxing. We've got a franchise champion. So if Big Baby Miller fights Tyson Fury in October the 6th in New York, whatever, I'll watch it.
Yes, absolutely.
And will I always sit there disgusted that he's even in the ring? Like, the sportsman or sports side of it, I'll be like, oh, this dude doesn't deserve to make a paycheck, really, because of what he's done. But this is boxing that I'm watching, so whatever. If it's going to happen, there's nothing my complaining ass is going to do about it or affect it in any way. So I might as well just watch it. To be honest,
look, Gary in the chat, how can we, as decent, moral human beings, give Big Baby a shot at heavyweight champion of the world? I like that. After what he just did, easy, Gary, because your favorite fighter's done PDs, and at some point, like, what battles do I pick to get upset about? This is not one of them. And I know that upsets people, that this is a battle that I have always picked not to be upset about. But sorry. Yeah, give me Fury versus Miller. Like, if Fury wants a tough in-between fight that's a US name before Wilder, then there's only one guy, and that's Jarrell Miller, right? Like, he is really the only, when they go through the list of all the US names, they're tied up, they're busy, they're losing, doesn't really make sense. Or we get Tyson Fury versus a bum in October. Those are the only two outcomes. So tell me, people, would you rather see Tyson Fury versus a Tom Schwartz, a Safari, whatever his name was, or would you rather see him fight Miller? And I would rather see him fight Miller, to be honest. And guys, look, Miller is going to be fighting in big fights forever. You know why? Because he is a name that will mesh well with every other top name. And Ricky saying, has Miller even been punished? Yes, he got he has been punished, air quotes. He got a 6-month suspension from the WBA. And he wasn't licensed. That's why the commission was not able to suspend him. But yeah, I don't really care about this. Like, I'm not upset about this in any way. I think it's a decent fight, obviously. And it should be a fun back and forth build-up if it were to happen. And I also don't believe Tyson Fury when he says, I haven't had any talks about boxing. No, I believe he definitely has talked to Frank Warren, Bob Arum, ESPN, whoever, and they have an idea of who they want next. And that's why they've been mentioning Miller's name a lot. They've just been hedging it with, oh, but we haven't actually been discussing it. That'd be cool, right, guys? And they're gauging the public interest in it. That's what this is entirely. And the public interest is they're interested. Because who else is he going to fight? Kabaye? Trevor Bryan?
Well, Trevor Bryan, they brought the name up. He said, but nobody knows him. That
doesn't matter. He fought Tom Schwartz.
It's not kind of, off the back of a Schwartz fight. You can't go to someone you don't know. They mentioned Charles Martin, and he was like, nah, AJ done him in like 2 rounds. He's lost as well recently. Recently, was it Kanaki?
Was it Kanaki?
Yeah. Gerald Washington, and he kind of, it was as if it was a saying like the American with the most name and this, that, and the other. He's number 3. Andy Ruiz is the number 1 American right now, even though he's the first Mexican heavyweight. Wilder's bumped down to number 2 on BoxRec. And then it's Jarrell Miller. You know, Brazil's obviously just been, I don't know if he's been seen since. Eric Molina. Is that why he pulled out of the Parker fight? Dun, dun, dun. I don't know. Probably not. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure, again, he's talking October, sort of end of September. And just to bring it up, Fury and a few others, it's still coming out that, as far as they know, Wilder's fighting September 28th, even though Tim Smith of PBC said it was November. So we'll wait on an announcement, you know, as far as that goes. But yeah, Fury Miller, should Miller get a shot at the lineal, you know, as for Tyson Fury's 5th defense of his lineal title? Probably not. Will he get it? Probably. Will we watch it? Yeah. So.
And also, I don't think this fight even happens, guys.
No. Like I say, I'm torn. He was kind of, you know, he was at the fight. He was talking to Bob, although that was played down as it wasn't a meeting. It was just a meeting. And, you know, there's just chatter, but I would be equally not surprised if it happens and if we get someone we're not really heard of. So,
$2 super chat from Ramon. Good Patreon saying, just call me Charles right now. Okay, Charles. I can't tell if that's a Charles Martin joke. That's the thing that's like confusing me. Is like, is that a deep cut Charles Martin joke? I can't remember.
I don't know. Does he walk this earth like a god?
I don't know. But we turned it into one. Let's talk about the fights this weekend. Hey, I will be at one of them, by the way, guys. Yes, I don't know if I said that on the show yet. Yes, I'll be at tomorrow's Top Rank card with Richard Comey and Raimundo Beltran.
Is it tomorrow?
Yeah, it's tomorrow. It's Friday.
It's a Friday. Ah, cool.
Yeah, and then also we have Saturday cards. We have the Charlo Adams card.
Whoa. You just didn't. I wasn't ready.
I should have said it slower.
What?
The Charlo versus Brian Adams card. I hope Brandon Adams fights for a very long time so we can always use that soundbite.
Oh, for sure. I hope he becomes the new WBC regular middleweight champion.
But anyways, yes, I'm going to be at Comey Beltran. Hopefully get a Bob Arum interview, a Andre Ward interview, all that stuff, and maybe Richard Comey interview, because that's all I really care about. Oh, and there's some undercard guys that I might get interviews with, but that's about it.
I want to see Stoner Matt meet Stoner Bob and have a good old chat. It's going to be great.
I've talked to Bob on the phone before. He's a nice guy.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, he'll tell you if he's not enjoying it.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
And his recent interviews are possibly being twisted into him getting into a little hot water, right?
Oh, I can't wait then.
The Jenny Sushi stuff. She now wants Bob Arum. Was it sectioned or sanctioned? I can't remember.
I think like fined. I think it's like what? Something like that. We'll discuss that when like more concrete information comes out, because I saw one thing about that. I want to, before I even talk about that again, I want to actually do some more digging. But anyways, Carlos Adames also on the card against Patrick Day. Junior Fa, who's been linked obviously to Joseph Parker, against some guy named Dominic Gwynn. That's about it for the undercard. But Richard Comey, Ray Beltran should be a fun action fight for as long as it lasts. But Richard Comey should obviously get the win in relatively not easy fashion. I should say fun fashion. Like, it should be a fun fight, but I don't think he's going to lose like any rounds here. I think he's the better boxer. I think he's the better puncher. I think he's the bigger guy. I think he's the stronger guy, the younger guy. Like almost every category is in Comey's favor here, and not Beltran's. Rob, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Comey's going to have to have a kind of bad night for it to all go wrong, and not set up that Teofimo Lopez fight down the line. I like Beltran, but I think maybe his better days are behind him now, and good luck to the guy. But I think Comey's just going to be too, just a little bit too good for him, and he'll show his class and progress, like I say, on to potentially a Teofimo Lopez fight.
Yeah, cannot wait for that one. Moving on, because again, like we have a lot of fights this weekend, but not a lot of important ones. It feels like, right, Rob? Like a lot of just here's some fighters fighting.
At least, ITV4 have picked up the bigger Charlo. We're getting that fight
nice
this
at
weekend.
least. Even though the fight's not that great, which we're going to talk about now. Jermall Charlo against Brandon Adams. I mean, look, I'll be completely honest, guys. I didn't watch The Contender. I still have not watched The Contender. I could care very little about Brandon Adams. I'm sorry, I don't care about this fight at all. This makes zero sense to me. I don't know why they matched Jermall Charlo up with this guy. Like it, at least with like Jermall Charlo against Cota, like that was a late notice injury replacement, right? Like Tony Harrison got hurt like a week or two before the fight. This has been in the works for a long time. They announced this like months out. This wasn't late notice anyway. They didn't need to do this. I think they wanted to give him a soft touch after the Matt Korobov fight, and whatever. Charlo's going to get the knockout within 6 rounds. Lubin also on the undercard. Miguel Flores, Leon Lawson. What are some others for decent prospects? That's about it. Omar Juarez, he's decent. And Rob's favorite, Marcellus Wilder, also on the undercard.
Did we ever find out why his last fight was a no contest?
Digressing. Rob, your thoughts? Charlo, Adams.
For me, when you become the WBC champion, I'm sure you're allowed to, just a showcase fight, and I think he's going to show that Brandon Adams may have won this last season's series of the novice, because I don't think he's a contender, and he's just going to get hurt. I think Jermall might take out the fact that he's just potentially lost the big money payday with Canelo out on him a little bit. He's going to be angry Charlo. I think we're going to see an angry Charlo. I mean, we kind of do anyway, but
when is Jermall Charlo not angry?
Yeah, I just realized as I said it and kind of retracted it.
We're gonna see a normal Charlo then, right?
When he's sleeping, probably. Yeah. Other than that, he's pretty angry.
You know he has angry dreams. Come on, you know that.
Angry dreams. Oh dear.
But yeah, the rest of the undercard, you have some names on it, but against like fights that don't matter. Like the Erickson Lubin fight is a step backwards. Like he just had a great performance against Ishe Smith. Like it makes zero sense to have him fight a guy named Zachariah Atu, who no one that no one's ever heard of. Like Lubin should be fighting a guy like Aleem Smith now, like a guy of that nature. That's a top 10-ish guy.
He needs to keep winning. He needs to keep winning, Matt. Don't be ridiculous.
Shut up. Digressing though, we can move on to the next fights. Before we do, I just want to make a quick point because we're going to be talking about Andrade, of course, in his DAZN card. But Andrade coming out here and saying Triple G beat number 81 in the world Rolls. Don't we have a soundbite for Steve Rolls?
No, I did have. I deleted it. You see me rolling.
Damn, that's one that we need to keep. Because I'll mention that fight just to play that soundbite.
When we make enough in super chats, I'll be able to afford the Apple soundboard and have shit more organized than the one I got.
Or just send me soundbites. So anyways,
no.
He says Triple G beat number 81 in the world. I'm fighting real guys. Andrade. My man. My guy. You beat Walter Katendokwa or whatever.
Mandatory.
Whatever his name was. Okay. For a vacant strap in the middleweight division. And your best win is Vance Martirosyan from 2015 on HBO? How long ago in another division? Andrade, please, just of all the lines to go at Triple G with, this is not one of them. When you literally got your title against somebody that was probably ranked lower than Steve Rolls. Honestly, like Andrade, come on, man.
I think he means Selecki. He's fighting Selecki.
I know he's fighting Seletsky now. However, Seletsky might beat him. Like, Andrade's been fighting nobodies for so long. He might not be used to fighting someone that's actually kind of good.
Nah, look, Gabe Rosado gave Selecki war. And how?
True. Absolutely true.
Andrade.
But Gabe Rosado might give Andrade some issue right now. I'm not on the Andrade some legit guy right now. I'm not. Who has he beat at 160? Who? No one. At 154, he beat Vance Martirosyan. Vance Martirosyan, who's selling his belts on eBay right now, guys. What are we talking about?
Yeah, that WBC bout ain't gonna get him much.
Andrade Seletsky is a decent fight, as Lunatic says in the chat. Absolutely is. It's a good action fight, in my opinion. I think it's going to be close, competitive. Andrade probably will win slightly, but UD, nah. Maybe UD, but it's going to be close. Like, it's not going to be... I could see 116s and 115s across the board.
Nah.
Absolutely.
8-4. I think Andrade would dominate Selecki.
Yeah, 8-4. 116 and 115s.
I thought you said 116, 115. Like,
no, not literally that scorecard. I mean, like, for Andrade, you can see him score 116s and 115s. You're not going to see a 117, 118, 119, 120 scorecard for Andrade in this fight. You're not going to see that. You're just not.
We might.
What was that?
We might.
Look, I think... Again, I think Andrade's going to slip by this fight in a fun action fight. But again, I don't think he's... I think Chris Eubank might give him some trouble. As Matthew says in the chat. I think... I'm not high on Andrade. I think Triple G still beats him. I'm just not with that mindset now. He needs to prove something in this fight. If he comes out here and dominates Seletsky, then I will come on this show on Sunday or whatever it is and apologize to Andrade. But he has yet to do that for me. He has yet to prove to me in a big fight he is an elite guy. He has proved in shitty fights he is just above shitty fighters. That doesn't mean much to me.
Harsh.
Sorry. Khalid Yaffe. Oh, sorry. You didn't really give it your thoughts on Andrade Seletsky.
I think Andrade wins it pretty convincingly, to be honest. I think he'll even get knocked down, maybe even a stoppage. I think he could hurt Selecki. He could throw some pretty crazy punches, and seems to have a bit on them. But I don't know. I think he's going to dominate the fight. To be honest, I think he is good. I think he's slick.
Okay, we're going to see it. Khalid Yaffe, another guy I'm not so high on, facing Norberto Jimenez, who I'm trying to remember if I've seen him before. I don't think I have. But Yaffe is one of those guys, like, he might be a Galahad in a way, where I'm not high on him, but the second he takes a big fight, he's going to prove something to me. So, Yaffe, you got to do something against a good opponent. Jimenez is not that yet. I would love to see the Roman Gonzalez, Khalid Yaffe fight. I think that's the perfect fight to make for Yaffe. Push that. If you're Eddie Hearn, you have to push for that fight. With everything, you have to give Roman Gonzalez the bag to make that a main event in, like, the Forum in LA or the StubHub. Like, you have to do that. That's a fight that Yaffe needs desperately. Or take him to the UK, whatever it is. But right now, this fight does nothing for me. Yaffe doesn't really do anything for me at this point, though I do recognize he's a top 10 talent. I don't know if he is truly elite in that sense that he's a top 3, top 4 guy in the division yet. I need to see more from him.
Yeah. I understand where you're coming from.
Like, he's really good at everything he does, but he's just really good. Like, I don't see greatness just yet.
No, I mean, people want to see him in a unification now, and then, there's a much better gauge. But yeah, I think he was supposed to be on the Joshua card, and that didn't happen. But yeah, I mean, I think didn't he have an out in America? Oh no, he fought in
Yeah, he fought. He fought David Carmona, right, in the U.S.
Yeah, and it was pretty decent fight. He looked good.
Yeah.
I think he got a little stood in the pocket and wanted to trade a little bit too much, but it was a good performance. And some even suggested, he could probably fight more in America. You know,
And Carmona, even though he was moving up in weight like significantly, he was one of the only guys to make it the full 12 rounds with the monster Nue. So just want to point that out. But then again, he is also a guy that did move up in weight for that.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, UK guy out there doing his thing. I'll be up in the AM to watch. So yeah, we'll see. But I want to see your fight. Try and get a unification fight.
I think unification should be a little bit too fast. Gonzalez first, then Estrada. But digressing, Joseph Parker versus Alex Lepay. I don't care about this fight at all. Joseph Parker, please fight somebody relevant. You can get a knockout within 6 rounds. Rob, thoughts on this?
Joseph Parker, Lepay, shout out to New Zealand, paying $40 for this.
You poor bastards, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I've done the conversion. It's basically the same as a UK pay-per-view, so it'd be $25 for you guys if on the conversion. But it's welcome to Matchroom. Have a guy to knock over. Eric Molina pulled out the fight. Don King fighter wanting more money. I would suggest. But yeah, not the greatest fight, but something designed for, I guess, Parker to look good and build towards bigger and better things. But be good to see him back in action. I think he got himself a win since the Dillian White loss.
Yeah, it was a quick knockout too. Yeah, it was a quick knockout.
Yeah. So I just it's building to bigger and better things. I think so. Is what it is.
Quickly, Otha Jones, the third, also on that undercard. Just want to quickly mention him. He's a good prospect.
Yeah, back to back. He just fought over here in the UK last weekend on the Conor Ben card. Looked good. Done a little bit of threw some shapes out there. Done a big backflip. Got a lot of UK support. People like Otha Jones III.
Yeah, but plus he's tied to Eddie, so Rob's gonna give him the cosign. Moving on. Some smaller cards to mention this weekend. Also on Friday on ESPN Plus, Ryan Walsh versus Louis Pauline. Also O'Hara Davis against Miguel Vasquez on that undercard. Anthony Yiggett, who actually looked pretty good against Ivan Branchik in that loss on that ESPN Plus card in London. On DAZN, same day in Italy, Francesco Patera versus Paul Highland Jr. It's a decent little scrap right there. Mayweather Promotions Facebook page. Angelo Leo versus Mark John Yap. What else? ThompsonBoxing.com. Pedro Melo versus Gilberto Espinoza. All Friday still. In Montreal, if there's any Montreal fans, this is not televised. There's the IBF Women's Junior Middleweight title against Maria Decaire versus Maria Lindbergh. What else? I think there's some more. There's a Facebook card with Chad Dawson from the grave. Shout out to all those old fighters still getting work on Saturday as well. That's it for boxing this weekend. Let's move on to the rest of the news topics, and then we're going to take your calls, 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. International caller, Skype, Mixed Combat Radio. Speaking of fights, last weekend's Charlo fight, the main event specifically averaged 1.8 million viewers on Fox. The 3-fight telecast averaged 1.2 million viewers on Fox. Decent, actually, showing from a fight that, was on a atypical day. It was on Sunday, not Saturday. And also a fight that, let's be honest here, Rob, no one cared about. The only fight that was worth watching was the Gamma Rigondeaux Ceja fight, which, let's be honest, the casuals probably didn't care about. So this million plus came to see Charlo alone, probably, or just to watch boxing. either way, that's good. I'm actually surprised by those numbers.
A lot of people saying hope that leans towards maybe some more Sunday night fights. People sort of suggesting maybe that helped. Whether I don't what sports are currently going on. If there was anything on, what would have been on before this that it ran into this? Whether it got good pickup from that. Like, oh, some boxing. I'll watch this.
The weird part about Sunday is that, like, for not half the year, for a decent chunk of the year, 30% to 40% of the year, you cannot be a sporting property on Sunday. You're competing with the NFL in the U.S. Like, you just cannot do it. NFL is running all day on Sunday. You have to stay away from that day. You can sort of run concurrently with college football on Saturday because it's more of a diluted viewership in a sense.
Yeah.
There's far more teams playing far more games, and it's less people overall watching it. Sunday NFL you cannot compete with. So the rest of the year though, I'm okay with experimenting on Sunday nights. Like, why not do it? Especially if it does, like, if you do it and you get good numbers, you're gonna try it again most likely. Moving on though, Aslan de Lara should be getting a fight against Michael Soro, as Brian Castano has sort of vacated the belt, stripped from the belt because he didn't want to fight Soro. Kind of a sad situation because Castano looked fantastic against Lara in that fight earlier this year that was on Showtime that no one really watched. And I feel like he's getting lost in the mix here, and that's unfortunate.
I think it's because the French, it was in France, it was going to be in France or something, and they won the purse bid. And yeah. Didn't want to know.
These things happen. Hickey Butler was in a purse bid against, I forget who it was, last year. Lost the purse bid. Purse bid was only for like $32,000. And he was like, nah, fuck that. You strip me of the belt. I'm good. So it does happen occasionally where fighters are like, nope, purse bid's not good enough, guys.
Or elevate me. I want to be the franchise champ, the brand champ.
Speaking of that Seha fight, Julius Seha filing a protest with the WBC over the stoppage loss to Rigondeaux. Good for him. Good for him. And he should also file a protest with the commission. Okay. Not the sanctioning body. The commission. Sanctioning body's not going to do shit for you, Seha. Come on.
If Bridis Glowacki doesn't get changed, then he's got slim to fucking no chance.
Well, no, there's a difference there. Bridis Glowacki was in Lithuania. Latvia. I was close. I was pretty close. Come on. I was close here.
Louisiana, London.
Whoa. Lithuania and Latvia are pretty close to each other geographically, aren't they? They're like next to each other. They're next to each other, aren't they?
I got no idea.
I think so. Sounds right. Anyways, digressing. I don't know what the commission jurisdiction of that is. Is there a commission in Latvia? Like, is there an athletic commission? I don't know.
Of course there is.
Don't say of course there is. Don't say that.
Didn't it look like it was run properly?
Anyways, in the U.S., there's a commission. Go to the commission. They are the ones that can overturn your wins or losses. Not really the sanctioning body. It's the commission. But digressing. Speaking of trying to get a win and overturning shit, Khan trying to overturn this career into something that's positive. Poor guy. Fighting Billy Dib instead of that guy named Goyat, because Goyat got injured in a car accident. I hope he's fine, by the way. No one's mentioned it.
Sounds like it was quite bad.
I'm really concerned about Goyat here, man. It sounded like it was a tragic car accident. And now we get Billy Dib versus Amir Khan. That's no longer going to have the pearl belt attached to it.
No, that apparently is only going to be saved for special occasions.
Yeah.
The pearl belt.
Like the franchise champion. I like to our good friend, Coach Mitty, who's a dear, diehard Amir Khan fan. I apologize to you, but no one gives a fuck about this. Rob, thoughts on this? That's all I got.
This is the same Billy Dib.
Gives a fuck.
What was it? When was it? When did Tevin Farmer beat him for the belt?
Was it last year?
Just last year.
Yeah, that was last year.
£30. So is he making welterweight now? See, this is the thing, right? Broner Selby.
Yes.
Broner Selby is getting made, and we've got Khan and fucking Dib.
rant, Rob.
Shouldn't Broner be fighting Khan, and shouldn't fucking Selby be fighting Billy Dibb? I don't know what's going on, but you know,
quickly,
Jermall Peter and Huey Fury is still on.
Cincinnati's own Anthony saying, "Shout out to my guys, Cobra checking in with the $2 super chat. What up, man? How you doing, man?" It's Anthony Edwards there. Hey, man. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your rant. Go on. Give in to the dark side, Rob. Give in to it.
No, I'm just saying, thank God Huey Fury versus Samuel Peters still on. I was worried when Goita, or whatever his name is, had his crash.
I'm going with Goyat. Goyat sounds cooler.
Yeah, I don't know what Goiter is, but I think it's something medical.
You mean grout? Is it like a disease?
That's gout. I don't know.
Gout.
Grout's what you do when you're tiling, Matt. Anyway, this has gone very strange. But yeah, no, the card's safe. Everybody needs to relax. You know, Channel 5 have got it in the UK. The card's safe. The card is saved. Thank you, Billy Dibb. But
this fight's at 147. I'm telling you guys, Broner Selby is not going to be at 140. Or if it is, Broner is not making 140.
Yeah. I really don't know. Maybe it's going to be at Broner weight, like the 144. I don't know.
And did you hear the winner of Khan, Billy Dibb, will get top 5 ranking with the WBC?
Yeah, it's international, right? It's
Ooh, yeah. Anthony saying, what if Broner loses to Selby? It's possible. It's really possible now, let's be honest. But Selby's, come on, too small. Moving on, though, let's try to wrap up these topics and go to callers, because I want to take some calls. I know Gary's probably there waiting to rant about something. Mike Copter saying, sources tell The Athletic, Vladimir Nikitin is injured and withdrew from his fight with Michael Conlan. So yeah, that fight's not happening now. Conlan will fight a replacement opponent. I don't think they've announced the replacement opponent yet.
Don't think so. Although
okay.
They've come out and said it's going to be a tougher opponent than Nikitin. I don't know.
Sure. Moving on for Gary, Virgil Ortiz versus Antonio Orozco finalized for August 10th. DAZN. You know, when Gary saw this news, he was popping champagne bottles.
Oh, guaranteed. I mean, personally, as a Texas fighter lover, you know, I love my Texas fighters. I was hyped.
It is actually a really good fight. I will give it. It's actually a really fun fight. Speaking of Texas fighters, to carry on the Gary train. Pause. Brandon Figueroa versus Javier Chacon triple header revealed for FS1. I will say this. I don't really care for this fight and this matchup, but Figueroa main eventing FS1, I like that.
So did Gary.
I like that they are going on the ledge and putting him as a main event, even on FS1. I like that. Push your younger stars in main event roles to shine. And I think it's the last topic of the day. Hold on, let me just make sure it's the last topic. Oh, no, sorry, 2 topics. There's another thing? Oh, my God.
Yeah, you're going to love.
All right, we're going to run through this. IOC is officially stripping the AIBA of the right to run boxing in the 2020 Olympics. Just a confirmation of what we already knew. AIBA is basically dead in the water. Thank God that fucking corrupt and criminal body is hopefully dead. What was the thing that you just posted? Oh, no, I'm not talking about Isaac Chamberlain signing to PBC. Who cares? Who cares?
We've got an address. We got an address and everything. I'm sure that address is easy enough to find, but I'm like, yeah, just show the contact. I thought he's got Al Hayman's fucking number on it. But I'm going to speak to the myth.
By way of Michael Benson, who gets it from IFL, Eddie Hearn has now confirmed terms are pretty much agreed for Vasily Lomachenko versus Luke Campbell. Hopefully take place August 31st, O2 Arena. And then also, he made a point, I for some reason don't have it up, and I wanted to have it up. It was about how Eddie is addressing, or wants to address, the lack of quality in UK cards recently. And hopefully do either less cards, consolidate names, whatever. They recognize that this year, the quality of specific UK cards has dipped for Sky because a lot of their talent has gone to the U.S. to help the zone out. I think whatever they do, at least they are trying to fix that obvious issue of card quality in the UK. because I've made note of it. I know, Rob, you've sort of not made note of it, but you've recognized it.
Yeah, I think the main events have been a little lackluster for me. I love the undercard fights because, like I've told you before, I've seen a lot of the prospects and the novices come through from their debuts, and I'm invested. So I'm like, oh, Conor Ben, or even though, like I say, he headlined, even though it's a next gen show, but all the young guys coming through, I'm invested. So I'm kind of like not so like, oh, this is a shit card. What a fucking shit card. But some of the main events have been a little lackluster, and I've never, when I've seen it on Twitter going, oh, this card's shit, I've never like gone, what are you talking about? This is a fantastic card or anything like that. I've not like defended it with the usual, cousin Eddie's don't you dare take the mickey out of my cousin Eddie. He's doing a fantastic job. But so I see people's point, but I'm not such a hater of it. But the standard, I think, has dipped off, and it has been, I guess, since the DAZN thing's really kicked in. Eddie's looking at, oh, we've got Callum Smith over in America, we're going to have this, that, and in America, and this guy in America, this guy in America. It's like, well, what are we going to watch over here? You got to build some shows that people are going to want to come to. But apparently, the new season starts September 1st, and they're going to really be trying to improve the quality of the Saturday night cards, which is, good for the UK and good for the hardcore DAZN, subscribers. So
I've said this for a long time, Rob. You know this, that I understand DAZN in the US is trying to put on US shows, but the beauty of streaming, the beauty of being an internet platform, you can have a live event in the UK, and that's better because the environment's gonna be better for it. Like we mentioned this for like the Usyk fight, like put Usyk in Ukraine, put him there, put him in Eastern Europe, put him in Germany at least, for God's sake, where the Klitschko's made a name for themselves. Put him in an environment where they will have fans, and you're gonna get a natural on-camera energy. And that will help. That will translate to the watcher, the viewer on DAZN streaming it, much more than just putting it in the U.S. to cater to U.S. media. Like, I'm sorry. Get over that, DAZN. And if Eddie, in some part, in some fashion, pushes for that by having more of his marquee guys on UK shows because they are UK names, I'm all in favor of that because that's where they should be fighting most of the time. Except if certain fights call for it, for example. Yeah. Like obviously AJ Ruiz. I think there's a benefit to that being in the U.S. There is. Both. Yeah. While it can be in the UK and I see a benefit to that, there's a reason for it to be in the U.S. Certain fights, though, there is zero reason for it to be in the U.S. Usyk versus Takum, a Ukrainian versus French fighter, makes zero sense to put in Rhode Island or D.C. or New York or wherever. It just makes zero sense.
Yeah, no, I get you. Just because a certain section of the fan base might not know the UK fighters, like you can take them over to America and watch them. They're not going to know them, or they can tune into a live event that looks like the crowd's all up for it. It's all great, and they may still not know them, but oh wow, these must be some guys. Look at the crowd; they're loving it. This, that, and the other. Oh yeah, I'll watch, and then that name might stick, but some English guy in front of me on at prime time America, like not that interested.
For example, AJ Klitschko, right? That fight, while a great fight, was extremely elevated due to the environment and energy of the crowd. If you take that fight into a 13,000 seater in Rhode Island, does that do anything for it? No, it doesn't. That's a UK fighter versus a Ukrainian fighter. Put that in Europe. Put it in a soccer stadium with Europeans. It will translate. And there is, I bet if we had like a true psychologist on here, they could explain to us how that energy and environment for a viewer helps to translate to stardom more than just the performance. You know what I mean? Like the crowd and the energy, the fireworks, the stage presence matters more to make AJ a transcendental star than that fight of the year itself within the ring.
Yeah, no, I get you. It's like the whole package,
yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Because you can walk out to all that great stuff, but like get knocked out. Or in New York, he didn't have a usual glitz and glamour.
But they did in a way. For US, they did. In the US way, they did. I will put it that way. Maybe not in the UK version, not the same 1-to-1 glitz and glamour as like AJ Klitschko, but for MSG, that fight looked like it was bumping. You can tell there was an energy and vibe to that place.
Oh yeah.
You know what
I just mean like the pyrotechnics and the fucking cherry picker lifting him up above everybody, and that he just literally walked out the back. But very quickly on Klitschko, glad he got saved off the burning boat.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that, man. That was crazy.
And the amount of times I saw it quote tweeted saying Shannon Briggs has gone too far this time.
Yo, I didn't see any of that. Damn.
Oh, it's great.
You
the
follow
first
better
time
people.
I saw it, that was it. It done me. I was hilarious. I'm like, oh yeah, remember him like fucking
paddleboard
when he's on paddleboarding, and then Briggs is, let's go, champ. It's like, fuck me, I can't go anywhere. But yeah, when the 50th time someone put Shannon Briggs has gone too far, I'm like, all right, enough now.
But guys, that's it for news and fights. Call in 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. International callers, Skype, Mixed Combat Radio. Let's go out to Old Faithful, Mr. Gary.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Sorry.
Was he there first? Wasn't he there first?
He was, but I think he jumped off and jumped back on.
Oh, he lost his line.
He did. Gary's been on for like an hour. Santiago's only been on for 8 minutes, it says.
Oh.
Again, I wasn't looking at it, so I don't know if something happened. Santiago, I'm sorry. But Gary in Dallas, what's up?
Yeah. Like a Band-Aid. Let's pull it off quickly.
And I was going to go off on Matt for ignoring all the Texas fighter news, but then he totally redeemed himself.
We had a board meeting, Gary, and I told him, make sure you bring this up. Meeting. I mean, phone call.
Both Virgil Ortiz and Brandon Figueroa are.
Yep.
Coming home. Both of them. Are you excited, Matt?
You kind of broke up there a little bit, Gary. You said Virgil Ortiz, Brandon Figueroa are, and then you just like paused for like a good 20 seconds. It was weird.
And I just said yes, like I thought I understood what you said.
I had it all queued up. You didn't hear that? It's that song, I'm coming home. You guys didn't get that?
I didn't hear it.
That would have been so cool if it happened.
Yeah, that didn't.
Sorry.
No,
my soundbite didn't.
Awkward.
All right.
Are you excited for Gary?
Matt even gave Omar Juarez a shout out. And I don't think anyone listening besides me, and I guess Matt, even know who that is. Another Texas guy from the Valley area.
Of course,
do you know who that is, Rob?
Oh yeah, he's from Texas, right?
Gary, I'll be honest. I know him because of you. So yeah, of course I shouted him out.
Yeah, I think I've heard the name out of your mouth.
Yes.
He's like 3-0 and he's 19 years old. I mean,
hey, it's good.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
I've seen zero of his fights, but yeah, you tell me he's good. So yeah, I'm gonna shout him out.
Okay. I wanted to. So great job on that. Kudos to you, Matt.
Thank you.
I was going to get all over you for your anti-Texas bias, but great job. Kovalev and Canelo. I want to pick Canelo, right? Like my brain is saying, don't fall in that trap again. Kovalev is way too big. Kovalev's what, 36, 37 years old now?
Is he that old?
Yeah, he is.
I'll check. Yeah, he is. Yeah, okay. I'm going to look it up.
Like, Kovalev is between Vazdik and Bivol. He's somewhere 1, 2, or 3. You could argue any one of those guys in
36.
The top 3 guys at 75. He's definitely the biggest name in the division.
Yes.
I kind of think that Canelo, at this point in Kovalev's career, can just outbox him. That he can frustrate him, make him miss, and just win the fight on the scorecards if he stays disciplined and doesn't bang with him. But then, like, I look at the size of Kovalev, and he's a huge 175-pounder. And it's like, I'm going to fall in this trap. If I pick Kovalev, if I pick Canelo, Kovalev's going to ice him. But I kind of feel like Canelo is at the pinnacle of his career, and Kovalev's on the downhill. And, like, this is the point where Canelo could beat him, right? And if he beats Kovalev, it would be hard. Even the biggest haters could no longer deny Canelo. If he went up and skipped over 68, went straight to 75, and beat Kovalev, you can't even make an argument that he's not the pound-for-pound best in the sport. Like, there's no argument against it. He clearly is. And I think he would have Kovalev at the right time. Like, if he's going to be Kovalev, it's going to be now, when Canelo's at his absolute best. With that being said, is that crazy to think that Canelo can outbox him? Is Kovalev way too big for him?
I mean, I've yet to hear, and maybe you can explain why this case would be different, Gary. Why, like, that argument would be different than when people argued Rigo could outbox Loma, or any of, like, or Mikey versus Spence. You know, like, we heard that same exact argument in a way other times. Brooke Triple G, Khan Canelo, like, we've heard this argument before.
Well, Khan is not as good as Canelo, first of all, right? So that's
Then throw that one out. Then throw that one out. Then throw that one out.
Okay, well, look at the other ones, right? Loma and Rigo, if they were the same size, maybe it's a good fight. Maybe it's a great fight, right? But they're not, right? Like, their skills are close. I don't think that Canelo and Kovalev's skills are that close. I think Canelo is infinitely more skilled at this point than Kovalev is. And Kovalev fought great his last fight. He really did. But Canelo is better at every part of boxing than is Kovalev. Of course, there's nothing Kovalev. He'll have the size advantage. That's it. Like, that's the only advantage that you would check the box for Kovalev in. Canelo's much better defensively. His hand speed's better. He's a better boxer. His footwork is better. Everything is better. Except that he's a lot smaller.
You don't think Kovalev's ability to dictate the range, his ability to extend that jab and to keep that jab dominant within the fight will keep a guy that's a 5'8" Canelo at bay, and Canelo will never be able to get on the inside and be able to exchange?
He could. Do I think Canelo, it would be easy work for Canelo? Canelo could easily outbox him and win it? No, but I think Canelo could win. I think Canelo is good enough where if he fights a disciplined fight, that he can win that fight, right? Like, it's going to be tough because of the size of it. And Kovalev's good, right? It's not like Kovalev. He's not John Ruiz, right? It's not like when Roy Jones fought Ruiz, he kind of sucked. Kovalev's good, right? So he's going to have to fight a great, perfect fight. But I think he could do it, right? Like, I don't think it's out of the question. Like, Mikey fighting Spence, like, Mikey's going to get killed. I just don't see that. Like, he might. I could be wrong, and Kovalev might get iced. Canelo might get iced. But Canelo's really good in all assets of the sport. Like, he's better than Kovalev across the board, except for he's smaller.
Maybe.
You're still saying that Kovalev's going to ice him, right? I mean, that's
no, not ice him. Not unless ice him. And Jay saying Andre Ward did. Andre Ward's a big guy, Jay. Like, Andre Ward's a guy that started at 168 in his pro career. Canelo started at 147 in his pro career. Let's get that straight, Jay, in the chat.
When he was like 15 years old, though. He was a kid.
Yeah, but he still started at 147. And we're talking about 175.
Yeah, and
Andre Ward going from 168. Andre Ward going from 168 to 175 is not an apt comparison at all. Andre Ward's a big guy.
You're right.
So like Jay in the chat, like
the Olympics at 172.
Yeah, and so Jay to make the comparison of Andre Ward to Canelo makes no sense. The size matters, guys. Like, when we do see that size, or when we see that skill is nearly the same, size is a huge factor, massive factor, especially when we talk about that discrepancy. So I don't think the skill set is that far apart from Kovalev and Canelo to where Kovalev's going to get outboxed tremendously. I don't see that.
The gap between those two, the talent gap between Canelo and Kovalev is bigger than Rigo and Loma. It's bigger than Spence and Garcia.
No. It is bigger than Loma and Rigo. I will give you that. I don't know if it's bigger than Spence, Mikey. I don't know about that. We forget that Kovalev was pound for pound. He had a loss to Andre Ward and that really bad loss to Alvarez, that he came back and had a fantastic performance. So I think it's. I still don't see the argument fully. I do see your argument, Gary. I should put it that way. I do understand your argument. I don't co-sign it yet. I don't think it's 100% on point when it comes to the skill discrepancy being that much of a discrepancy between Kovalev and Canelo. I don't think so.
Let me ask you this. Do you think Canelo could beat either or both of these guys? Dimitri Bivol or Caleb Johnson? Do you think he could beat those two guys?
Caleb Johnson,
if he
yeah.
jumped to 175 and 4.
Caleb Johnson. Bivol,
Yeah.
no. Bivol, no. Johnson, yeah.
No, Bivol, you can't beat it. Johnson, you could. Johnson, okay. So then, you think that Canelo could be light heavyweights, just not the premier light heavyweight? Like, is Caleb
Yeah.
Johnson probably a top 10
Well,
light
like,
heavyweight?
for example, like when Roy Jones went up to heavyweight, I don't think he could have beat the best heavyweights at the time. He fought John Ruiz. I think that's
Lewis. yeah.
Yeah, you know, exactly. So I think that's sort of the comparison. Like, this would be like Roy Jones going up and fighting Lennox Lewis at that time. That would be crazy. This is that. This is crazy. This is Canelo facing the best light heavyweight on the planet.
Yeah, I just think Canelo's at his peak and Kovalev's on the downhill. Like, I think that if he could do it, now's the perfect time for him
But
to do
how
it.
can you say he's on the downhill when he just had his career best performance in his
This
last
had
fight?
the best performance of his, no, you're right. Like, you're right. That was probably the best performance of his whole career. But he is old, right? Like, time.
Yeah, but hey, look at Manny Pacquiao though. Like, that would be like saying, "Oh, Thurman's catching Pacquiao at the right time." I wouldn't say that. Pacquiao's on a tear right now. Old guys can fight sometimes. You just have to be a great fighter to fight as an old fighter. Kovalev's a great fighter. We forget that because he lost to Andre Ward, but that was losing to Andre Ward.
Is Kovalev a great fighter or is Kovalev a really good fighter? Like, is Kovalev a great fighter?
Define what the difference is in your opinion, and then I can answer it. Like, in your opinion, what's the difference between a really good fighter and a great fighter?
All right. A very good fighter is highly skilled but beatable. A great fighter in his prime is nearly unbeatable. Right? Like, there's
But see, you added qualifiers. You already added nearly. Like, look at the greatest of all time. Hey, look at the greatest of all time in Ali. He lost in his prime to Joe Frazier, man. Like,
no, that's when he was really good.
That's when he was only really good.
Yeah, no, but Frazier was great.
Good point. Same way for Kovalev, he lost to Andre Ward, great fighter. Eddie Alvarez is a really, really good fighter. And I think people are going to see him turn into a great fighter as his career progresses.
He's really good in the rematch.
And again, I think that distinction isn't really much of one because you added too many qualifiers there, Gary. But
it's
about 5%. That's it.
Yo, Gary, that was great. To answer your question, with that, that's your definition. You're sticking to that final answer on you want to be a millionaire.
No, I don't want to stick to that, but I don't have any friends to phone or any life. So I'll just walk away with the money.
I would, if I was to try to answer the question for you, Gary, I would define a great fighter. It's a requirement or category or criteria thing. You have to be great, quote, great, elite in certain categories of fighting and boxing. You have to have great wins. You have to have a level of great boxing IQ. And I think Kovalev matches all those things. He has great wins. He has great IQ, great boxing ability. I think his jab is one of the best in the sport. His ability to land that right hand is almost second to none, except for maybe like Deontay Wilder and a few other guys, maybe old Adonis Stevenson, Inoue. Like, you start naming guys that have that accuracy with their money shot. Kovalev's in that list of fucking snipers. I think Kovalev's a great
real
fighter.
quick, and before my mind slips, you just said Inoue. This is a real question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Inoue could knock out Amir Khan?
Sorry, Inoue can knock out Amir Khan. Do you think?
Do you think Inoue could knock out Amir Khan? I know he's way smaller, but do you think he could knock him out?
Rob saying yes. Yeah, I mean maybe. Yeah, sure. I'll say yes, Gare. I'll say yes.
Okay. I don't know why I thought that, but I was just thinking of guys I could not. And then Billy Gibbs is a featherweight, isn't he? Or
Yep.
super featherweight?
Yeah, super featherweight.
And he's fighting Amir Khan.
Yep.
Okay.
Yo, Lee Selby's fighting Broner.
That's why
like Lee Selby's fighting Broner, man. Like, come on.
Yeah. All right. No, what was that? What were you saying? You were saying I cut you off because I wanted to ask you.
I don't know. I was talking about.
Garrett, have you spoke about the franchise champion yet? Other than
no, he
him
hasn't. Fighting Kovalev, no.
Yeah.
So if they had that fight, if Canelo fought Kovalev, and Kovalev won, would Kovalev be the franchise champion?
No. He would get a diamond WBC belt.
At light heavyweight, Kovalev would.
Yes.
Would he be the diamond? Okay.
Not the franchise. He'd be the diamond champion.
Well, I guess
and that would make him also mandatory to the WBC light heavyweight champion. Like it gives you the mandatory at whatever the weight was.
Could be. It says could be. It would be considered for the mandatory.
All right. Well.
Also, quickly before you jump in, Gary, we do have a super chat. Charles saying, "Do UK people care about O'Hara Davis? Can he win? No, maybe." Back to you, Gary.
Yeah, against he's fighting Miguel Vasquez, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he wins.
But no one cares. Back to you, Gary.
And I want to get into this Canelo Charlo WBC disaster. And I'm not saying anything like Canelo is a fighting champion. Canelo's resume is probably the best in sport. Right? He fights everybody. That being said, he doesn't want to fight Charlo. If he did, he'd fight Charlo. I'm not saying he's stuck in him. I'm just saying he's not interested in that fight.
I gotta admit,
It would
though,
be a hot fight.
but Gary, what's the issue with that? Like, I might take a controversial stance here. What's the problem with him not wanting to fight Charlo? Of all the guys that we're going to talk about him fighting, he is on the bottom of the list in terms of deserving that fight. He is.
I don't know how you can say he's not deserving of that fight when he's been the mandatory for 15 months.
Gary, I could give two shits about that ranking, okay? I'm talking about, look at who he's talking about fighting. Kovalev, Callum Smith, Triple G, Demetrius Andrade. All of them are champions currently. Hold on, let me finish, Gary. All of them are champions currently. Andrade has done just as much in the middleweight division as Charlo. Come on. Charlo's got a controversial win against Matt Korobov. That's a better win than what Andrade has. But at least Andrade has been dominant in his wins, even though they've been boring. Charlo has barely snuck by Matt Korobov. Okay? On top of that, if Canelo is going up and fighting Callum Smith, Sergey Kovalev, or again, Triple G in a trilogy, those are all better fights in terms of meritocracy, what they mean for the division, overall competitiveness than Canelo Charlo. Charlo has yet to really earn that mandatory spot to face a champion at all. And if the champions want to unify, I'm sorry, guy that's not a champion. I'm going to let the champions unify.
No, if the champions are going to unify, then fine. Unifications take precedence. I get that, right? And if he wanted to fight Jacobs, which he did, or he wanted to fight Andrade, then you have to live with that. I understand. But what I'm saying is, if Canelo wants to campaign as a middleweight, then he's got to fight Charlo. If he wants to keep his belt, he's got to fight Charlo.
No.
And just real quick, okay, let me ask you this.
He doesn't.
Triple G was more deserving of a rematch. You said Triple G was more deserving of a rematch than Charlo was of a Canelo fight.
Yes.
Okay. Did you score both fights for Canelo?
Yes.
Both Triple G fights for Canelo.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know that.
Do you think Canelo beat him twice? So Canelo's better than Triple G.
Yeah, I think that.
What has Triple G done since? So what has Triple G done since losing the second time to Canelo to deserve a third fight with him? Like, what's he done to earn that third fight? Beat Steve Rolls?
What has Charlo done to earn the mandatory spot against Canelo?
Again, that's the WBC. That's not my call. I didn't make him that. The WBC put him there. And
Then
said, Canelo,
then
if you wanna
take
keep
take
going,
out the
we want you to
WBC,
fight.
Gary, like I have. In your opinion, what has Charlo done in the middleweight division to deserve a title shot?
He beat the one-legged Argentinian.
Awesome.
No, I mean no. At 160, at 160 he hasn't. Yeah, his accomplishments are at 54. At 160, he's beaten a bunch of B-level guys.
Yep. And even Andrade, who got his belt off of vacancy, at least was signed on to fight Billy Joe fucking Saunders. And Saunders had his PD issues and had the belt stripped from him.
Twice.
Okay? So let's not get confused here, okay? Charlo, yeah, he's a mandatory for his sanctioning body. But has he earned a shot at a champion in this division? Absolutely not. He hasn't beaten a single top 10 opponent yet. He hasn't even been signed on to compete against a top 10 opponent, at least like Andrade was. Okay? And again, Triple G, yeah, he lost to Canelo in the second fight. Yeah, I personally think Canelo beat him for both fights. But guess what, Gary? Most people don't think that. And you know that, Gary. So don't be disingenuous. So, yeah. Am I all in favor of Canelo fighting Triple G in a trilogy fight against one of the best guys in the division still? A guy that has a better resume at the middleweight division than anyone we are talking about? Yeah, of course he's deserving of a trilogy fight, Gary. More than Charlo is of a first shot at Canelo. Absolutely. That's an easy argument.
Okay. My point on that was, like, Canelo and Triple G fought twice. Canelo's a little bit better. Like, I don't know what's going to change in the third fight, except Triple G's older now, and Canelo's at his absolute peak. Like, it's not going to be more competitive. It's going to be less competitive. Like, if he chooses to fight Triple G, it's not the end of the world. It's fine. The first two fights were good. Like, we can see it for a third time. It just wouldn't be my preference. Let him fight the other top guys.
Cool.
At 160.
You're talking about preference. I'm talking about what they've done in the ring to deserve something. You're not talking about that.
So losing to Canelo twice and then beating Steve Rolls get you a shot.
And you are for some reason ignoring the entire middleweight career he's had before those fights with Canelo. Interesting. Those are all middleweight fights. He'd fight David Lemieux, Jacobs, beating them, etc. While Charlo has beaten Matt Korobov and Sebastian Hyland. So yeah, Triple G is more deserving of a fight. Like this is
like that. He beat someone in the middle. He's beating 3 B-level guys. But you guys, like, Korobov doesn't suck. Like, Korovov's not
I didn't say he sucked. Did I ever say he sucked? He's a top 15 guy.
Not in those words. But
no, he's a top 15 guy.
Yeah.
But guess what? Charlo barely won that, Gary. So you're telling me that Charlo, a guy that slipped past Matt Korobov, and that's his only fight of note in the middleweight division, is more deserving of a career-long champion that wants a trilogy fight to finish out a rivalry? Come on, man. That has better wins, a better legacy, a better career, and has honestly looked better as of recent? Come on. Like, stop. If you prefer to personally see Charlo fight Canelo over Triple G, that is fine. You can have that preference. But you can't say he's more deserving of it over Triple G. You can't make that argument.
Then Triple G's third shot at it, it's like you failed the first 2 times. Like, what's going to change now that he's third?
But most people don't think that, Gary. But Gary, you have to admit, most people don't think that.
Most people think Triple G won the first one. I was in the very small minority that scored it for Canelo. I absolutely. The second one was much more split, right? The second one,
yes,
a lot of people scored. Yeah.
Yes, no, I agree. So, like, Gary, you have to admit here, like, there is the casual sporting fan that watched these fights thought Triple G won. That is another item on the list for why Triple G deserves the trilogy fight. And again, Charlo barely eking by Matt Korobov isn't enough for me. I'm sorry. Isn't. And beating Brandon Adams still isn't enough for me. Other people are doing better things. Even Andrade is doing better things. At least find Seletsky.
Andrade's not doing better things, okay? Andrade beat Walter and from Breaking Bad and
again, Gary, at 160, Andrade had a contract in place, had press conferences with Billy Joe Saunders. Okay? Yeah, obviously that fight didn't happen, but at least he had a contract in place and was promoting that fight. He was going to fight Billy Joe Saunders, for God's sake, who, Gary, we both admit, could have been the guy to beat all these guys at 160 if he stayed here and was actually disciplined. But he's not. Okay?
Absolutely.
So give him credit for at least taking the fight. That's all I'm giving him credit for. Not for winning the fight, obviously, but for taking the fight. Charlo has not taken a fight at 160 to that level. Period. On top of that, Gary, okay, Sebastian Highland's completely equal to Walter Katwandokwa. Yeah, Matt Korbov is better than anyone Andrade has beat at 160. Absolutely. But again, a lot of people didn't think Charlo even won that fight.
A lot of people don't think Charlo. I mean, you could, if you really wanted to argue it, you could say it was a draw because Charlo lost so many of the early rounds. Like, he lost 2, 3, 4, and 5 for sure. But he dominated the second half of the fight. Like, Korbov's a tricky.
Gary, I'm not here to get into the minutia of the round scoring for that fight. I'm just not here for that. We can both admit that there's a large percentage, maybe a majority percentage of boxing fans that do not think Charlo won that fight, whether it be a draw or Korbov won. Okay? Can we admit that?
There's certainly I don't think it's a majority. There's certainly a portion of people who don't think he won that fight. Certainly. Right, and that was what his attention in the post-conference. Social media thought he lost, and he had a stick. Right, he didn't look good. I thought he won. I had 7-5. It was close. You could argue that he didn't win. You could argue Korbov won enough rounds. I thought.
Okay, so again, back to my full point, Gary. That is not enough to deserve a fight over Triple G for a Canelo fight, or Callum Smith, or Kovalev, or Andrade, who has a belt. Like, it just is not enough for me. Charlo needs to do something.
He's got a belt.
You know what? I have the same criticism of Charlo as I do Dylan White. Like, and I have argued against this point, but it's true, and I think I've come to this realization that you cannot rely on these sanctioning bodies to do their job. And that's what Dylan White unfortunately did with his number one status for so long. Has relied on the sanctioning body to do their job. They're not going to do their job. Charlo is doing the same thing. And look what happened. Go in there and get big fights, beat relevant names, and guess what? Eventually you're going to get the big fights. Eventually the public will demand that if you beat good names. That's what matters more than anything. And to White's credit, that's why there is still a public outcry for him to get a fight with Wilder. Because in the meantime, he has still been fighting good opposition. Charlo has not. And that's why there is a less of a public outcry for Charlo. You get it from the PBC fans and the Texas fans because they love Charlo. But for most of us, no, we don't care because Charlo hasn't done anything to make us care.
At 154, he didn't do anything to make you care?
I'm talking about 160, Gary. You know that. I've been very specific. I've been very specific with 160.
But you're not gonna question his resume at 54, right? He was
exactly. No, exactly. Exactly, of course. But we're not talking about 154.
Okay, fine. Sure.
Just like Crawford beating Ndongo doesn't mean he's going to beat Spence. Like, those two things have nothing to do with each other. You know?
Yeah, okay, I agree with that. Sure. But Crawford also got a title shot. Well, I guess that's the way the WBO works, right? Like, if you move up. Okay. Then off topic real quickly, right? Like, because Top Rank is going to struggle to find Crawford opponents, do you think that they could pay Hooker enough to move up and fight him?
No, because Hooker's also DAZN fighter, so that's not going to happen.
They've worked together, though, recently. They have worked together.
Bomac was on what? Bomac was on what channel, Rob? I'm trying to remember. You're muted, Rob. I can't. But Bomac, anyways, was on a YouTube channel. I think it was maybe a week or two ago, Rob. It was a bit ago, and he said he kind of slipped that, "Hey, we're fighting on mandatory," and that's Kavajidakis or whatever that fucking guy's name is. Goddamn.
Kavalauskas.
Whatever his name is, Kavalakis or whatever. The dude from whatever country that I can't pronounce. He is supposed to fight Crawford next. That's what Bomac has alluded to. I think it was on Name Redacted. I can't remember.
Kavaliauskas is still the mandatory after he couldn't beat beat Ray Robinson?
Yes.
All right. Oh, jeez.
Shout out to the WBO.
Okay.
I'm telling you, man, that IBO is looking more legit.
Whatever.
Shut up with the IPO. I will strangle you, Rob. I swear to God, I will buy a plane ticket and come to whatever town you live in the UK and strangle you if you mention those 3 letters again.
IBO.
And then, so
you disrespect boxing, you piece of shit.
Yeah, right back at you, Paulie.
What the hell? Sorry.
Did you watch the Paulie fight?
No, fuck no.
Tell me you bought that.
Fuck no, Gary.
No, I didn't buy it. I watched the stream of it. I didn't.
Oh my God, that's even worse.
No, I didn't watch it, Gary.
Even worse.
I was on a MMA show with Sharedog.com. Go check it out, Off the Chain. And I was brought on. Oh, don't be jelly there, Rob. I was brought on to talk about the fight from a boxing perspective. I didn't watch it though, so that was a fun show. I just ranted about it and didn't even watch it.
Yeah.
Oh, Beltron this weight.
Ooh, quickly, Fighter IQ, AK, hold on, Ron the Mastermind, who has a great friend of the show. Go check out his channel, Fighter IQ. Yes, I'm stealing your thunder, Rob, because you know why? He played the soundbite. From Ron the Mastermind on the ground. Beltron missed weight, 1.8 pounds over, 2 hours to go. Thank you, Ron, with the update on the ground. See, I can be an old 80s, 90s sportcaster. I missed the wrong decade, man. Anyways, Gary.
Two things, real quick. First, you had to talk about a fight you didn't watch. You should ask Rob about that. He does that all the time.
He does.
And
only those shitty American fights.
Gary, have you caught on when he does watch fights and when he doesn't? I hope everyone catches his cues, what he says about fights when he doesn't watch them and when he does. It's very. I'm just saying, there's patterns. Same with Fu. I'm catching both of them.
What would you say when I'm not just going to say, yeah, I didn't watch it. Yeah, I didn't watch it. I sometimes do, but other times I just, blag it. It's all right.
Gary, back to you. Sorry.
Sometimes honesty is the best policy, Rob. Say I didn't watch it.
Sometimes when you call in, Gary, I think you've never watched boxing ever.
Ooh.
That's what I'm talking about.
Are you going to kill the Terry Flanagan? My Terry Flanagan pick now? Is that what we're going to go?
That's Rob's only go-to, by the way. Is that pick?
No, we got more. There's more.
There's more.
You just picked Canelo over Kovalev.
Yeah, that's rough. No, that one's not as bad as Flanagan.
I said, I guess if I had to put my money on it, I'd pick Kovalev. But I kind of feel like Canelo can't box him for 12 rounds and avoid his power. That Comey fight, the Comey-Beltran fight, I'm picking Comey to win by late knockout. But that's going to be an entertaining fight. Like, you're saying, you don't think it's going to be that close? Like, I think Beltran will win.
I tried to
Beltran not even to make weight. He's 1.8.
Yeah, he's 1.8 pounds over. That's scary. I'll put it this way. I think it won't be. I don't think it's going to be close, but I think it's going to be fun, if that makes sense. Because. Yeah.
Is Comey really good or just great?
I think Comey's really good. Not great. He's really good.
I think he's really good too, and I think he's flawed though defensively. And every fight Beltran is in is fun, right? Like Beltran's never in a boring fight, and I think he'll lose. I think he'll get knocked out probably around 9 or around 10, but I think he'll do damage leading up to that point. He'll just be the worse for wear. But that's a good fight. And then my last point on the Canelo thing was Canelo wanted to test the waters and move up, fight either Caleb Smith or Kovalev. And at a certain point, the WBC was going to be forced to call as mandatory. And Canelo had no interest in fighting Charlo for whatever reason, right? So they were going to have to force him to vacate which means they would lose the sanctioning fees. We're talking about sanctioning fees are usually about 3%. 3% on a $30-something million purse is $1 million. They didn't want to lose that. So they made up this franchise belt so they can still collect the and this is just my theory now, so they can still collect sanctioning fees on Canelo and not force him to fight Charlo. And then they make Charlo the middleweight champ, which makes him happy, at least in theory. So it's kind of like they thought it was a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly what they were thinking.
Charlo actually comes out the loser, though. Right? Because how much do you think Charlo would make for a Canelo fight?
A lot.
And then how much do you think he'll make to fight anybody else?
Not as much.
A tiny fraction of that. Right. And fighting Canelo gives you a chance. If Charlo were to beat Canelo, Charlo would be the biggest star in American boxing. So that opportunity was taken from him, as well as the payday. So, like, Charlo's the biggest loser in this, actually.
Duh, yeah. I think that's pretty obvious. Was anyone saying that Canelo or the WBC are the actual losers in this?
Okay, I don't know. I mean, you got to ask the shadow or whatever who they thought the biggest loser was. I thought people like, well, Carlos should be happy now. Now he's the champion. But no one don't look at him like he's the champion.
No,
Canelo,
look, I made this point, and I'm the more I think about it, the more I actually think it's true. I think the WBC just went out here and did this. Like, I think they went out here and just did this thing, thinking they were going to appease some people, make everyone happy, and make a bunch of money in the process, like you said, without really consulting Canelo or Charlo, to be honest. And that would be completely on brand for the WBC to do stupid shit without sort of asking the fighters.
It would be, but they've already pissed Canelo off once. Do you think they really want to run the risk of pissing Canelo off twice? I mean, Canelo alone
Gary,
probably keeps their business running.
I'm gonna make a weird comparison, but I think you're gonna love this weird comparison. You know, like when you're in a fight with your girl, right? And like things aren't going good, and like they try without like telling you to do something to make you happy. Whether it's like a surprise party or some bullshit, like getting you a present, getting you a puppy, whatever bullshit it is, and you don't like it and you hate it, and it actually makes you more upset. I think that might be what happens, where it's like the WBC is the girlfriend that's in the fight, and they want to make their man happy, and this is their attempt at doing that. This is their surprise dinner with candles and wine, and Canelo just got back from a bad day at work, all pissed off. That's what this is to me.
Right, you just want to watch the fight, and your wife made you a candlelight dinner that's going to take 6 hours. I just want to watch the fight after. You know, I get it. Yeah.
That and I'll be honest, that's just my hunch, pure assumption. But I think it's weird if Canelo did a 180 on the WBC. Like, that would be odd to me. Canelo strikes me as the person that holds grudges. So I think if he has a grudge against Mauricio Sulaiman, that shit is not dying at any point. And also, he must realize this is a way of them making money off of me and not even fighting, in a sense. Like, they get a 3% twice a year regardless from fighting. I can't see Canelo being happy with that.
Roughly.
I can't see Canelo being happy with that.
Well, he could choose not to defend the title. I mean, he doesn't have to, I don't think, right? He could say, I'm not defending.
Yeah, but let's put it this way. If you're Canelo and you're worried about maybe being undisputed, you're worried about holding on to belts, because that does somewhat matter, especially in the sense of being undisputed, you might not know what you can do here. Like, can you even vacate the franchise champion? If you do, does that mean you vacate the regular belt that you had? Like, what happened there if you, quote, vacate? Like, this is all new, and I would not be surprised if Canelo is just like us, trying to figure out what the fuck happened. Same with Charlo. I would not be surprised if both fighters are sitting there like, what the hell is happening? Calling their lawyers, their teams, everyone trying to ask, what does this mean?
No, you're probably right. I mean, this is probably a surprise to Canelo and Charlo too, for sure. And the last, did you see Jermall Charlo throw out the first pitch at the Astros game yesterday?
No, I did not. Was it good?
It was not good. It wasn't as bad as 50 Cent, but it was really bad.
Andrade pitched a strike.
Ooh, Andrade pitched a strike, man. See, I'm telling you, already more deserving of a Canelo fight.
Yep.
It's just weird. Like, the guys that are great athletes, like Jermall Charlo, and John Wall, the basketball player, did it too. They can't throw a baseball.
Did you see Errol Spence taking a penalty kick?
What did you say, Rob?
Did you see your Texas fighter taking a penalty kick at a soccer match?
No, I don't even know what you're talking about.
I thought you liked Texas fighters. Jesus. Come on.
Clueless. No, I just don't watch soccer. Who took a penalty kick in the soccer game?
I said Errol Spence.
Why?
Errol Spence did.
Errol Spence did. Yeah, he ran like he'd never played soccer before, I must admit, and kicked it like he'd never played soccer before, and yet it went right in the top corner. It was the luckiest thing I've ever seen.
Because he's an athlete.
No,
he's an athlete. That's why I don't understand why Jermall Charlo can't.
No. If you find the clip of him taking, I think it's on his social media. He doesn't look very athletic.
No.
No.
Okay. Was this recent? Is this like yesterday or recently?
Was this yesterday?
I think it was. Yeah.
What was it? I have no idea. Okay.
Yeah, it's on his social media. I think. I will check for you, Gary.
Yo, the fact that the PBC had an Earl Spence promo little tiny event for a soccer match is hilarious. That just seems weird.
Oh, by the way, Beltran's manager, Stephen Fedor, has told Lance Pugmire, I don't want it to be unhealthy, adding that Beltran is pretty much famished now. So Comey/DeBella may be left to decide to fight in a 10% cut of Beltran's purse and could leave the belt vacant with a loss.
Wow. Gary, anything else, man?
That is it. I've taken enough time. I'll talk to you guys later.
Thank you, Gary. Santiago, what up? Santiago.
Yo.
Yes.
Mixed Combat Radio franchise caller of the year.
I like that.
Hey, I want to give a special shout out to Gary for at least taking the challenge and trying to see if you could guess the answer right earlier before the show started. That was fun. I wish I would have waited until you guys went live just to hear you guys laughing.
You got us $5 for it. Thank you.
Too bad Rob wasn't there because obviously he was lost about why Gary even gave us $5. But besides the point, obviously my first thought when I saw the whole news about the WBC quote unquote franchise champion, instant thought, they're going the same round as the WBA. And at that point, it's just a matter of muddying up what was already a complicated system of who's the man at the divisions, especially because, like you just said, too, if you're a guy who's worried about becoming undisputed champion and your sole goal was to collect all the belts to prove that point, what does that really do to you now when you're looking at yourself in a position where you have a belt, but does it even mean anything anymore? I could imagine that ruining so many plans and just making guys question, like, what's the point? Because, I mean, you'd be a fool to think that obviously this isn't a money play just to get, fees from the fighters, regardless of who they're fighting, when they're fighting, or whatnot. So it's the first thing to see that this is happening. And obviously, to an earlier point, too, that I made is, like, I wouldn't be surprised if Canelo doesn't know about it. I do remember that when they were doing the lead up to the second GDG fight, they were offering the WBC Diamond Belt too, but I think if I remember correctly, Canelo openly stated that if he did win, he would not accept the WBC Diamond Belt. So I am very curious to see as to what is going to happen, because everything that he's done and any kind of promotion I've seen him in has had nothing to do with the WBC, and if anything has gone to show that he has or wants no association with the WBC. For, like I said, case in point, the Tecate commercials. Every time he would come up in those things, the one belt that you would always see him sporting, it ain't the WBA, it ain't the WBC, it ain't the IBF, it's the WBO. So I'm curious to see as to if we're going to hear anything official from his side or his camps or whatnot. Because if he did make a 180, what did they incentivize him for him to have changed his mind so drastically,
Yeah, I am curious. I wish I was a fly on the wall for that conversation.
It's gonna be fun, especially if they end up having a back and forth. And Fury Miller, don't really care much about that at this point. It's just talk.
90 seconds.
I think it's pointless. I think it's stupid. I think it's Fury just trying to get a name with a guy that hasn't a name at this point, just because of all the controversy with the PED suspensions and whatnot. And whatever happens at this point. But for me, that's an irrelevant topic. As for the weekend of fights, though, kudos to hopefully you still getting to go watch the Beltran fight, because if you get there and you find out last minute Beltran ain't fighting, I think that ends up being a horribly
60
wasted trip
seconds.
on a Friday night when traffic is probably going to be its absolute worst for you.
Again,
Here's the hoping that
I don't know if I said this, Santiago, on the show, but I said it off there. I think I said it to Fu on our conference call. I'm like this close to just canceling it. A, because it's a fucking drive. It's a long drive, Rob. It's like a good hour and a half, 2 hour drive with traffic there, and another 2 hour drive back. And it felt what, Rob?
Why did you apply?
I don't know. It's one of those days where I'm like, I'm going to apply to everything in the area, because I do that occasionally. I just start like random applying to like random events. That was one of them. Kind of forgot it was in Temecula, and Temecula's kind of far. But hopefully, if I get some confirmation that this Beltran fight's still happening, I'm for sure gonna go at least.
Good lad. That's
If the Beltran fight's not happening, though, all bets are off there, Rob. I might just stay home on a Friday night.
It looks like Comey will probably decide to fight him. Gets him another 20 grand.
Yeah. Anyways, Santiago, back to you.
Yeah, because I was actually looking forward to that. I obviously am going with Comey on this one regardless. At this point, I think Beltran was on the way out anyways, so we'll see what happens come tomorrow. Hopefully you get some notification before then. And granted, I was a little surprised to see Charlo taking on Brandon Adams, because Brandon Adams is a guy that I'd seen around since 2014, back when ESPN was still doing the Boxino tournaments. I don't know if you ever remember watching those.
I remember back in the day, yeah, but I remember watching him specifically.
Yeah, man, I remember following those things so intently too. Adams placing, making it to the finals both times in 2014 and 2015, losing to Willie Monroe Jr. In 2014 in the finals, and John Thompson IV in the 2015 finals. Fast forward 3 years later, and he won the Contender Series. So this is a guy that has pretty much been in any kind of tournament that has been around for that time. So I actually am curious to see how it goes. I obviously think Charlo's going to get this one out, but I don't think it's as bad a fight as some people might be thinking, including yourself. I'm curious to see how Charlo looks, because the Korobov fight did leave me wanting. So if he comes out here, shows the skills and disparity between him and a guy like Adams, all to him. And if not, then we've got to seriously question, like, what has he been doing? Because, like you said too, like you were telling Gary, at 160, who the hell can we name that he's actually fought of noteworthy value? Matt Korov was about it, and Matt Korobov was a guy that was probably noteworthy back when Andy V was still fighting.
Agreed.
Yeah, so that's pretty much all I got to say. I got to get going because I got to go drive all the way to fucking Westwood right now in this traffic. So take it easy. If you guys do have any questions, feel free to shoot them my way right now. Otherwise, take care. Everyone that's listening to the show, share, subscribe, tune in, listen in. Subscribe to the patreon.com/Race Combat Radio. There's content there, boxing banner, trending now. These guys give us hours and hours of content and footage, so let's show them some love and why Matt's able to apply to these different places even without thinking and still get accredited.
Yeah, thank you, Santiago. God, I just looked right now. I'm like, how far is the drive to Temecula? Because, it's around the same time, I would either need to be going, right, and shit like that. 2.5 hours. Oh, God damn it.
Come on, what are we going to do?
I'm driving all the way to San Diego, practically. Fuck.
You were there the other day, so it's not that bad.
No, I wasn't.
Yeah, you were. You said.
I thought you meant the LA UFC media day. I'm like, no, that was in LA, bro. That was in Temecula.
By the way, just hold on to this thought then. If you're really thinking about not going, Beltran, this is Lance Pugmire, by the way, Beltran also obligated to weigh 145 pounds for the mandatory second day IBF weigh-in. If Beltran fails to make that number, and apparently someone from his camp has asked to not be obligated to, then Lou DiBella said he is prepared to scrap the ESPN main event.
Okay, so I am for sure canceling my email Top Rank tonight then. Yo, I'm not messing with that. I'm not. I'm not gonna just go. I'm not gonna drive 2.5 hours, Rob, to watch Carlos Adames fight some guy on ESPN.
You'll get that Bob interview. Come on, it's gonna be gold.
Bob, I almost guarantee you Bob wouldn't even be there, man. If Richard Comey isn't there, why would Bob be there? Send Todd. Send Todd to Buff.
Top rank card. He's already there. He was on the stage with Lou DiBella.
Man, he's going back home to Vegas to smoke some weed and relax. Get his foot massage and shit. I'll think about it, Rob, because you're gonna judge me heavily if I don't go. I just wish it was a better card. I wish at least like the co-main event was a really good fight where I'd be like, at least I get that fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like for example, weird one, but like it's not a perfect example because the traffic and the drive isn't the same. But the Estrada, Rungs VI, and Roman Doheny card. Like let's say Rungs VI Estrada fell out, and I still had Doheny Roman. Still 100% worth going and watching and being credentialed for. That's a great fight. I'll get Eddie, right? For this, there's no great fight. I'll maybe get Bob.
It was a better fight than the Estrada fight anyway.
It was, too. It was. But digressing. Rob, that's actually it for today, man. Yep, no callers on Skype. Some people have been asking questions about you, Rob, in the chat, and a few people have. I think Ron started it. He asked, I think, Ron, to paraphrase him, have I, being with me and hanging out with me and doing shows with me, have I made you watch more MMA now recently?
No.
Yes, you have.
What? Okay. I watched that. Do some crazy spinning shit, and that's it. So, yes, you have raised my UFC awareness by 100%.
Absolutely, Rob. See,
I've gone from fucking never watching any of it to watching like a round.
It was a full fight. It was just a quick one.
Because it started and then he knocked him the fuck out.
That was so great. I'm trying to remember what fight that was. That was a cool fight. I'm trying to remember.
He was like some Brazilian
versus the British guy. Oh god,
what is his name? Yeah, he sparked the British dude out.
It was a UFC debut. But anyways, yeah, guys, I've been trying, and plus, I mean, Fu is a MMA fan now, and I will say this: me and Fu have been pushing Rob to become an MMA fan so we can dump this boxing bullshit.
They haven't been trying.
We have.
They get hit with who cares.
Hey, I didn't say it was working. I said we've been trying. Okay.
Yeah, keep trying. It's fine.
Jay asking, why don't you like it?
I don't know. I don't even know why. I've never watched a Conor McGregor fight apart from fucking Mayweather.
He's Irish though. It doesn't count.
No, I'm just saying, like, he's like this supposed superstar, but I've never seen him fight.
You into the Khabib fight?
Nope.
You saw clips online, I'm assuming.
Yeah, of the fight after the fight.
Yeah.
I saw the crowd trouble. That was it.
Okay.
That was the
that
IG.
Counts. That counts.
I see all the major highlights. It's on Instagram.
Yeah. Plus, you're connected to this space. Anyways, guys, be back. Probably not tomorrow, but
maybe because two solutions emerge. Agree to call it a non-title fight. And DiBella also saying there's a IBF language that allows a champion fighting an opponent who misses the second day weight number to retain his belt even if he loses the fight. Richard Comey, is he the IBF franchise champion?
I'm just not going, Rob. I'm just gonna be honest, guys. There's better cards to go to. Rob, don't look at me like that.
Just do something. Get an interview.
What do you mean? I am doing something.
People don't just want to see me and you talk and rant about shit, or you rant about shit.
I understand that, but I don't want to drive 4 hours to maybe get a Bob Arum interview, and that's it. That's crazy. That's crazy, guys. I'll put it this way. Chat. I'll leave it up to the chat. Stay on for like 30 more seconds to let the chat answer this. Should I go? Should I not go?
Hit that thumbs up if Matt should go.
Don't do that because we can't tell. If Richard Commey is not fighting. I'm curious. Like, let us know in the chat. Because if we have a overwhelming amount of you that are pushing me to go, I may change my mind. Maybe. Something like that.
See that? Anonymous in the chat. Come on. If 99-year-old Bob can make it, so can you, Matt.
I don't see that in the chat. Where is it?
Anonymous above Leonard.
Oh, I see it now. I see it.
Oh.
First off, Anonymous, Bob might not be there.
See? Fighter IQ. The fight hype.
Ron, you don't count, okay? Because all you do is just go to fights like a fucking grinding hustler on the corner, okay? And I'm just like, fuck, I hate interviews, bro. Ron, you like doing interviews. I hate doing interviews.
You know, all you got to do is provoke Bob into some fucking crazy talk, and it's gold.
Can I fly to Temecula? Is that an option? Maybe like a helicopter ride, something. That'd be nice.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, just get Bob to say some crazy shit. You know, he done an Eddie Hearn one. He said about I'm gonna, what was it? Triumphantly.
I'll wait. I'll wait to make my decision later tonight. What, Rob? Peer pressure's a motherfucker.
Huh?
Peer pressure's a motherfucker. Okay.
You put it out to the masses. Ron's already saying he wants that Matt interview. Those Matt interviews.
I know, and they're not good. Anyways, guys, have a great day, great night. Wherever you're listening, hit the like button, share the show, subscribe. Patreon.com/MixedCombatRadio. Check out our new website, MixedCombatRadio.com. Find me, Matt Hunter, MCR, all platforms. Rob.
UK Rob, MCR, Instagram and Twitter. Thanks again, everyone in the chat. Gary for fucking up on the trivia question, meaning he had to part with $5, and a couple of other super chats in there. Thank you very much. Don't forget patreon.com/MixedCombatRadio. Hopefully this weekend we'll get a boxing banter episode up there. Matt will probably remember to put his championship rounds post up earlier than like 2 hours before he does the show.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe,
you know, maybe 3 hours.
I say that every week, man, and I never do it.
Yeah. I feel like I've got to just be on the ball with everything around here.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe Fu is alive still. I don't know. Maybe they'll do an MMA show.
In the meantime, we are taking applications for a third host.
Yeah, well, in the chat, someone said, is it Gary? Someone says Gary a host.
To be fair, though, Gary has definitely had more airtime on the show than Fu.
Oh, they've done that tonight. But yeah, thanks everybody in the chat. Like, subscribe, share.
Subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe. Be there or be square, whatever. But yeah, catch you on the next one.
Peace.
That's stupid. Use your common sense.
You disrespect boxing, you piece of shit?
It's bullshit. You know, they're selling y'all wolf tickets, people. You're eating them right up.
Hey, pussy, are you still there?